Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Farmers Market Manager Training. This is our training for market managers or those that are interested in starting a farmer's market. And we have some great speakers lined up today, and I hope you all will learn a lot about the resources that are available for you. And if we can help you in any way, we are here to do so. So we'll go ahead and begin. My name is Rachel Painter, and I'm a specialist with the Center for Profitable Agriculture with UT Extension. I'm a value-added agriculture marketing specialist. We have some of our other team members on the call here today ready to help you as well. So with the Center for Profitable Agriculture, we help you in evaluating, planning, or developing a value-added enterprise. And you can find more out about that on our website at cpa.tennessee.edu. We also have a Facebook and an Instagram. Please go ahead and join us so that you can follow along about upcoming programs that we have available for you, again, on Facebook or Instagram, and that's Value Added Ag, or again on our website. All of our information is there, as well as upcoming events. Of course, we are a part of UT Extension, which means that we are ready and willing to assist you with your local extension agent. So there's an extension agent in all 95 counties here in Tennessee. If you are not familiar with extension, please do find your local county office. And you can do that at utextension.tennessee.edu, all spelled out. So again, you can find your local agent. They are your boots on the ground, ready to help you in your county. And of course, you can also reach out to us as well. And we're going to bring your local extension agent along with us in that process of assisting you. We also, of course, collaborate very closely with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. We have a lot of our friends from TDA with us on the call here today as well. And they're going to share with you about some programs that they offer, from the Pick Tennessee Products platform to resources, regulations, all the things that they are there to help you with. So again, the Tennessee Department of Ag is a huge partner with us, and they are on the call here for you today as well. We also have TAFM, the Tennessee Association of Farmers Markets, and they'll be sharing with you about their resources available and how they can help and how you can join. And again, their website is shown here on the screen. You can find them at tnfarmersmarkets.org. One of the newest resources available for you is a UT Extension publication, PB1918. So if you just search on any search platform, such as Google, you can find that, just UT Extension PB1918, or you can simply type in a guide for developing a farmer's market in Tennessee, and it should pop right up. And this is a very long document, but it is hopefully a thorough document ready to help you walk through that process of either starting or becoming a manager of a farmer's market. So again, that is out there and available. We also have printed copies in all of the extension offices across the state. If you're interested in a printed copy, please find your local office or let me know. We can make sure you get one in your hand. TAFM will also have some of these available at the Pick Tennessee conference, and I'll let Denise share more about that with you in a minute. Again, if you go to the CPA website, Center for Profitable Agriculture, so cpa.tennessee.edu, you can click on program areas in the top header menu bar, and you can find farmers markets. So in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, this is just a screenshot of our website, and you can click on that Find Farmers Markets Resources page, and you will go to a page of tons of different resources, including that publication that we just saw, and some other worksheets, and a lot of resources that are there for you. So if you are, again, new to Extension or not sure what is already out there, new to being a farmer's market manager, please go check out those resources. Those are there for managers and also for vendors. So if you have some new vendors coming to your market, please direct them to those resources that are there for them. So again, today we will have TAFM share about their resources and upcoming trainings. We will have TDA share with you about the Pick Tennessee Products platform and funding opportunities out there and available for you. We will have TDA's CIS division share about some regulations, and hopefully you're already aware of those regulations, but we are here to just kind of go over them if you're not, and then direct you to where you can find out more information about those regulations that would apply to farmers markets. And then we will have my friends at CPA share about meat sales at farmers markets and help answer some of those commonly asked questions. there's time at the end, we will, of course, answer those questions in the Q&A box, but if not, we will reach out to you directly to follow up on that. And again, you can reach out to any of us at any time with any of those questions you might have. You don't have to wait for this training to come up annually. You can reach out anytime that you have a question. So without further ado, I will let Denise share with you. She is here on behalf of TAFM, the Tennessee Association of Farmers Markets, share with you about TAFM and why you might want to join.
Thank you, Rachel. And thank you for putting this event together. And for those attending, thank you for attending. So the Tennessee Association of Farmers Markets is a statewide association where farmers markets, individual vendors, individuals, anybody that's really interested in the farmers market world can join to be a member. And you do that by going to our website, tnfarmersmarkets.org, and in the top there's a join. And then there's different levels of membership available depending on how many markets you have, if you're a vendor or if you're an individual who's interested or works in the farmers market world. Some of those benefits for being a member is discounts to different things across the state. So we have market management software. There's the Farmers Market Coalition. You immediately get membership into that. We have educational materials to help you out with, different topics. Networking opportunities. We have quarterly or weekly market manager meetups across the state throughout the year. And then we also help advocate for farmers markets, and your voice is seen and heard. We offer opportunities for you to share your voice and your passion for farmers markets. Some of our online resources, we have vendor support and training. So what does a good what are some options for how to set up your vendor booth? And then some training options for that. Of course, we have a link directly to the Farmers Market Coalition where you can find lots of resources on, a nationwide platform. That's not just the state, but there's a lot of different things that you can look at across the state. They have a lot of training and other opportunities for you. Of course, we link to the Department of Agriculture, their state support for Tennessee, and that includes SNAP benefits. And then we keep up with our current news. One of the things that we were able to create for our market manager and event specialists are these really amazing specialty crop event toolkits. And in here we have you'll see down in the below, those are the current toolkits that we have. They're more for summer crops, but it's how do you really go through and create a whole event surrounding one of those specialty crops. And these will be available at the PIG Tennessee conference, but we also have these available on our website. And PIG Tennessee, we're so excited. We're coming into our 24 conference. It is February through the 17th. And here's a look at what our discussions are going to be. We will have discussions around food regulations and the upcoming food bill updates, how to build community through resources and creating those engaging events at your market. What are vendor best practices and some operational conversations? Definitely a hot topic is sustainability in farming, market, your market presence. Here's some resources that we're going to offer for actual market managers. And then we will have a session with MarketLink, who will talk about their program for SNAP benefits. And then we will have an extra second session where people can actually for MarketLink, and we'll have a USDA representative there to get you your application in for accepting SNAP at your market. And we are run by a board of directors and current list of board members. We do have one opening in East Tennessee. So if anybody has any questions for any of our board members, you can reach out directly through the board at farmersmarkets.org. And then all members conversation. Thank you so much for having us join, and please reach out to us with any questions you have around membership or any questions you have markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And next, I will share just very quickly about the Society of St. Andrew. They sent me these slides just to share with you all about their opportunity to work with them. So they offer gleaning, and they will come and pick up food at the end of a market, and they will actually help your growers, your producers, vendors at your market receive a tax statement at the end of the year. And they handle all of it. They come and pick it up, and they distribute that to those that are in need in your area through local feeding agencies. So again, if you are interested in that, if you're not familiar with their program, please do reach out to the Society of St. Andrew, and they are happy to help you connect with some gleaners in your community. And they also will visit your fields. So if you have a farmer in your area that is selling at your market, and they don't want to necessarily bring that produce to the farmer's market and then have the gleaners pick it up, they will actually come and send volunteers to their farms. So that is a great opportunity to connect with them. Again, the Society of St. Andrew, and you can contact them at inhunger.org, or there's their phone number, and they will help connect you with some gleaners. So again, that is a free opportunity to connect with them, and please feel free to reach out to them. I'm happy to share their contact information as well. So if you are interested in that and you're not familiar with that program, please just email me or reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you. Next, we have Mike Brown. We'll actually switch over to Mike since his slides are next on the queue. So Mike, if you want to go ahead and take it away, and just let me know when you're ready for the next slides. And then after Mike, I'll share Casey's slides.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate everybody being on here. Looks like we've got a great group, 34 people. So that's really good. And I have a lot to go over, so I'm going to go very quickly. So if there's something that I have missed or not been clear on, just throw it in the chat and we'll try to address that, I guess, at the end of the session. The main thing I want to talk about today is money, is just to try to give you information on the financial resources that are available to your vendors at farmers markets. So, well, actually, let's start with the Pig Tennessee products, and then we'll go to the money side. How about that? So, Rachel, let's move forward with that. Hopefully, and I just see here that have not updated this logo, so that's my fault. We actually have a new logo from the one that's showing here, so forgive me for that. But just disregard that failure on my part. So, but let's just talk about the Pick Tennessee Products platform. Hopefully, you all are aware of that. It's wildly popular among tourists and locals alike. It was created in '86. And this is critical. It is free to producers and free to consumers, and that's a little bit unusual as far as state branding programs go. Many states actually charge vendors to take part in their state branding platforms. So that's something that your tax dollars are already paying for. So take advantage of it. All right, Rachel. I'll just throw some numbers out. Currently, we have about 2,500 participants with over 10,000 products. Next, here's just copies of our social media. We were on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right, Rachel. This is a group, Farm Restaurant Alliance, and if you need more information about this, certainly let me know. This is a popular spot for basically partnership between producers and the people who are going to eat the food and prepare the food. Next, Rachel. The mobile app is fairly new, but this is a real time app. So when it's mostly for, well, I started to say mostly for tourists, but not really. So it's just if you're traveling across the state and you want to find some strawberries in Martin, Tennessee, then you pull it up, and it's live, and has GPS mapping capabilities, and it's a free service as well. So I encourage you, if you don't download that, then make sure you have it. Okay, that's enough about that one. Let's jump to the Ag Enterprise Fund. This is actually a program designed for food manufacturers and further processors and value added processors for food or fiber or artisan products for that matter. It is part of the governor's rural task force. It was developed about, I guess we're in the fourth year, maybe now, fourth or fifth, something like that. And the focus is on at-risk and distressed counties. So I know a lot of you on the call today are in those counties, and if you have producers in those counties, they definitely are put at the top of the list for potential potential funding. But what this is it pretty much bridges the gap between TAEP, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, and then the larger products or the larger projects. It's a cost share program. It will pay up to 25% of your project. And I think I've got a slide on that, so Rachel, so keep moving forward if you don't mind. Eligible to apply. I'm not going to read these over, but you just see who's eligible and the project categories. Next, Rachel. It is a competitive project or program. And I missed another update here. This is reviewed quarterly, but that should say, I guess the next review on that will be sometime in January of 24. We just had a review period in October. So that is done quarterly. So the good news about that is if you miss a quarter, then just wait till the next one. You haven't had to wait too long, but you can see what the criteria for that as far as the inclusions is from business plan, budget information, proof of financing, etc. So, okay, enough about that. Well, let's go to TAEP. Hopefully, most of you are familiar with this program. This is really designed for producers, as opposed to the AEF that we just discussed. Can be people who are buying tomatoes, say, and further processing those tomatoes into salsa. They don't have to have grown the tomatoes for the salsa to participate in AEF, as opposed to TAEP is a producer-focused program. And I'm going to give you some data on that in just a minute. But as you can see there, we have bullet points of what it allows you to do from the production side. Okay, Rachel. I'll give you a little bit of history. This was started in 2005. A little bit of a timeline there as far as the things that have been added as the years have gone on. Next slide. Since inception, it's paid over 80,000 projects with over $246 million paid out. So this is a very unique program. This is the envy of every state department of agriculture that I know of. For every $1 of TAP, $6.55 is generated, and then it also adds another $46.54 of additional jobs. It's based on a little bit older information, but it's based on a survey from 2011. Here's application criteria. That should be self-explanatory. Next slide. The producer diversification industry sector is the one that most people that are in farmers markets can apply for. And there you can see your categories there. Who is producer diversification? I'm not going to read that, but it's just basically current agricultural producers who wanted to expand. The purpose of it is for expansion, improvement, diversity, long-term investment, and increase to farm income. Okay, this is just talking about one of the categories of producer diversification. It just gives you some ideas of what would be covered there. Examples of eligible items. Value added is just another category within producer diversification. You have examples of what that could cover there. Examples of eligible items within value added. Application deadlines. We've just passed the application deadline for this year. So if you missed it, you can wait till next year. It's always the first week of October of every year, and it's a strict application period. has to be received in this office or postmarked during the period. And if you meet that criteria, then your application is accepted. Excuse me. Just information about application proposal and budget. And Grant Pulse is their producer diversification coordinator. There's his information. And I believe I have a slide about other, there's their contact slides for the other programs that the contact information for the other people associated with the programs that we discussed, from Pick Tennessee Products to AEF to TAEP. One thing that I do not have a slide on, I wanted to make sure and let everybody know. Hopefully everyone's aware of our farmers market grant program that TDA pays $1,500 per year for a grant for a farmers market. This is geared toward really anything you want to spend it for. Well, that's not true. There's some conditions that need to be met, but basically it's $1,500 for farmers markets to promote themselves in many ways. So if you're not familiar with that program and need to know more about it, certainly let me know, and I will get that information to you. I know I spit a lot out at you there really quickly, so please ask questions if any clarification needs to be made. Thank you.
Okay, Casey, are you ready to take it away?
I am. Thank you, Rachel, for having me join today. And Mike covered a lot of what I was going to talk about as well, but I do have some few additional things. So we're going to go through mine rather quickly and add a little bit on to what Mike said. He did a great job going in depth with a lot of our programs. So we're going to just keep adding on to it. So we can go on to the next slide, Rachel, please. Mike mentioned Pick Tennessee Products, how it's all things local, free marketing platform. We are up to 2,800 listings and growing. So it's every day we're adding new vendors and farmers markets and producers to the website. So in order to apply, it's free to apply. Like Mike mentioned, you'd go to picktnproducts.org. Both farmers markets and individual vendors can apply to be listed on the website. So you as a market manager, you'll want to make sure that your farmers market is listed as a place for people to come shop. And then you'll want to encourage your individual vendors to sign up as well. So you can do that by going to picktnproducts.org, and you'll see apply now as one of the tabs at the top of the page. If you are already listed on Pick Tennessee Products as a farmer's market, or one of your vendors is, but they say, I need to make updates where information is not correct, you can't do that through the website. We have to do that for you on the back end, but it's super easy. You just email pick.tn.gov, and we try really hard to get those updates done within a day or two for anyone who needs them done. So it's always a good thing at the start of a market season to check over your listing and encourage your vendors to check over their listing to make sure either their links are still working, still has accurate information about dates and times that you're open, and products available. We do have some promotional items that are available for free to you as a farmer's market and the vendors at your farmer's market. The first is our flags. You can see them in this photo here, that beautiful bright green, blue, and red. It's very colorful. It sticks out. It helps customers see it easily, and that will help your vendor identify as a Tennessee producer, and another way for them to easily show customers that things that they are selling in their booth are things that they've grown or produced or made themselves. So we have those available, and then we also have some dry erase price cards for vendors to use to write the price of their products on at their farmers market stand, or if they have a stand back at their farm location as well, they can use them there. We do ask that you don't give these promotional items out to your vendors unless they are approved producers on the website. So if somebody comes to your farmers market and they're not currently listed on the website, but they would like a flag, just encourage them to apply. And once we get them approved, then you're welcome to share these items with them. And we can always mail you some of these things if you do not have them either. So that's kind of a little bit more about Pick Tennessee products. Mike did mention the mobile app, which is great. Please encourage everybody to download that. Mike also mentioned the Farmers Market Grant Program. It's intended to increase income for Tennessee farmers by providing assistance to the promotion and improvement of our farmers markets. You mentioned it's up to $1,500 per farmers market. It's also per location. So I know some farmers markets are under a bigger umbrella and you have multiple locations. Each location can apply for up to $1,500. Mostly used for things like advertising, social media promotions, collateral materials. There are a few other things that can be applied for, but these are the main things we like it to be used. Rachel Sullivan does coordinate this program. I put her email and her phone number here if you have questions about this program and how to utilize it. I also included the link there. I'm not sure if you'll be able to click on that direct link or not. So if you can't and you're looking for it on the website, it can be a little bit challenging sometimes to navigate our website. So I've put there on the bottom what tabs you will click on to locate the detailed information about this program. So from the main TNGov agriculture page, you'll see a tab at the top that says businesses. It'll drop down. You'll click on ag enhancement. Once you get to the ag enhancement page, there'll be an industry development tab. And then in that section, you will find the Farmers Market Grant Program. It does have last year's guidelines currently posted on the website, so you can read those over in detail of what the requirements are to participate, what you are eligible to apply for, and all of that great information, very detailed for you. Next year's information, I talked with Rachel yesterday, is going to come out in the next couple of weeks to a month from now. So if you've applied in the past, you were on her email list, she's going to be sending out an email notification that the information is ready. If you have never used this program in the past and you want to make sure you get that notification, please email Rachel and let her know that you're a new farmers market manager, or even if you've been a market manager for a while but you've never utilized this program, that you are interested in receiving that information. Mike talked all about ag enhancement, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much, but I did list out the different categories there that people are eligible to apply for. Like Mike mentioned, application B, producer diversification, is where we see most market vendors apply for funding. We do see some of the meat vendors at farmers markets utilize application A with the livestock equipment and solutions and other livestock related programs. So that's the link for the Ag Enhancement website to go on and look more detail in there. And like Mike mentioned, it's the first week of October every year. And then Mike did a great job talking about Ag Enterprise Funds, so we won't talk about that. We do have 3 other funding programs. These are not always the most relevant for farmers market vendors, but just so you know that they're out there in case anyone asks, we do have the Specialty Crop Block Program and Farm and Tough, which stand for Forestry, Agriculture, Rural Markets, and Tennessee Urban Farm and Forest. So if people have questions about these programs and want to know if they're a good fit for them or not, I encourage them to reach out to our main business development number, which is listed here, and they will get you connected with the correct business consultant on our team to answer their questions. I think I might have one more. Yeah, this is just my contact information. I will say I'm going to be going on an extended leave here in the next couple of weeks. So I would encourage you to either reach out to Mike or call that main number if you are needing something.
Patricia, I'll go ahead and let you kick off and start sharing about the Food Freedom Act.
Well, I'm really glad to be a part of today's event. My name is Patricia Hart. I am the Manufactured Food Coordinator with Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So I work with folks that either put items in packages for further distribution, or they produce food at one location and then sell it at a different one. Tennessee Food Freedom Act is the first topic that I'm really going to dive into. As most of you know, last year there was significant legislation that was passed that brought the Tennessee Food Freedom Act to a law in the state. This did change the landscape of food products that could be produced at home and offered for sale without a license or any kind of oversight by Tennessee Department of Agriculture or Tennessee Department of Health. Something important to remember is that through the years, there have been a series of different laws or exemptions from laws around producing food at home or producing certain types of food. Once the Food Freedom Act came into play, all of those other exemptions for non-potentially hazardous foods or making cottage foods at a commercial kitchen, all of those went away. So Food Freedom Act is the law of the land now. Anybody using Tennessee Food Freedom Act has to conform to all the regulations as written in the act. There is no grandfathering available for folks that have been producing at home for a number of years. So down to brass tacks, what are the requirements of Tennessee Food Freedom Act? The food must be homemade. So it has to be produced at a private residence. Notice at is in bold. This means they can produce it in their home kitchen, or if, say, they convert a garage or a basement into a kitchen facility, they can also put up a building on their residential property to produce from, but it has to be produced at the residence. The finished product has to be non-TCS. It cannot require temperature control for safety. So my best example is a yellow cake with chocolate frosting is allowed under Tennessee Food Freedom Act, but a cheesecake is not, because a cheesecake requires temperature control for safety. Also, the product is not allowed to contain meat, poultry, fish, or preserved eggs. When I say preserved eggs, I mean things like pickled eggs, freeze-dried scrambled eggs, those types of items. The next rule is that they can only be sold within Tennessee. So most Food Freedom Act or cottage food rules across the country, the caveat is it has to stay within a state's borders, because once food starts crossing state lines, it becomes FDA jurisdiction. So they have to sell it in Tennessee, and there are very specific labeling requirements that must be followed. I'm going to go back here one more second. If any of these requirements are not being followed, then the producer is not using Tennessee Food Freedom Act. They are a producer that is operating without a license for either a food manufacturer or possibly even a food service establishment with the health department. So all the pieces have to be there. So when we talk about labeling requirements for Tennessee Food Freedom Act, the producer name needs to be on the package. That can be somebody's given name or it can be their company name. So it can say Susie Smith or Susie's Wonderful Cookies. The home address and phone number must be on the label. This has to be a street address. It cannot be a P.O. box. It cannot be another business in town. It has to be the home address where the food's being produced. The common name of the food. So is it a chocolate chip cookie? Are they bread and butter pickles? We just have to tell people what's in the container. Full ingredients must be listed. So this includes sub-ingredients. Best example, if we're making a chocolate chip cookie, all the ingredients in the chocolate chips need to be listed. The reason sub-ingredients are important is because often that's where allergens hide. There is also a required disclaimer that must be on the package. It must be word for word what is printed on this screen. This product was produced at a private residence that is exempt from state licensing and inspection. This product may contain allergens. That has to be the statement. There are no edited versions of that that are allowed. This is an example, and again, I'm going to make the slides available afterwards and we'll have the recording, so I won't get into this too long. But in this case, these are beautifully wrapped chocolate chip cookies, and the producer has added a tag, a tie tag to the package. And inside that tag, it has all of the requirements, the name, the address, the phone number, common name of the food, all of the ingredients, and the disclaimer statement. Another version of this for our pickled beets. So in this case, we have all required elements. They're just a little bit more simplified because the ingredients being used do not have those additional sub-ingredients like the chocolate chip cookies did. So I'll start by saying this is not an exhaustive list, but some items, examples of products that are allowed, again, are those shelf-stable baked goods, spice blends and barbecue rubs, roasted coffee, dry tea blends, candy, and that includes chocolate, freeze-dried products, so freeze-dried candies, which is the rage right now, freeze-dried produce, also freeze-dried items like ice cream or cheesecake. In that case, that ice cream or cheesecake needs to come from a commercial source. So we can't make homemade ice cream and then freeze dry it. We would have to start with a commercially prepared product. And then we also have our canned vegetables, our pickles, and then hot sauces, barbecue sauces. The items not allowed, anything that requires that temperature control for safety, meat, poultry, fish products. This includes bone broth, jerky, freeze-dried products. If it has meat, poultry, or fish in it, or is used as a component as an ingredient, it is not allowed under Tennessee Food Freedom Act. We cannot have pickled, canned, or preserved eggs, finished dairy products, so fluid milk, yogurt, butter, soft cheeses, and fresh garlic and oil. Fresh garlic and oil is a product that needs to be refrigerated for safety. So some important things to note. Number one, markets have every right to set requirements for their vendors. We've had some questions come in over the past year and some scuttlebutt involving, well, because Tennessee Food Freedom Act passed, the market has to let me in, or they have to let me make this and sell it. TDA does not involve itself with the relationship between the markets and their vendors and the individual requirements that the vendors may have or the markets may have. TDA does not approve or register products that are made under Tennessee Food Freedom Act. If there are questions about a particular product and whether or not it is suitable for production under Tennessee Food Freedom Act, reaching out to our folks at UT Extension is going to be the best plan of action. One service that we do offer here in our office is label review. So if a producer is getting ready to step into Tennessee Food Freedom Act and they call and say, hey, can somebody take a look at this label and make sure it has all the components, we are happy to do that. UT Extension also offers that service. A question we get a lot is about food service operations. So when I say a food service operation, that can be a food truck, that can be a food trailer, a pull behind trailer. It can be something like a kettle corn setup or somebody making lemonade shake-ups. Those type of businesses are regulated by the Tennessee Department of Health. So if you have questions about requirements for food trucks setting up or for somebody to produce food on site, like that kettle corn or lemonade, you'll want to contact your county health department, as they'll be able to give you the best guidance. So I've just said, you know, on my back, my last slide, like, we can't do this, I don't do this. Well, okay, what does TDA do? What do we do? So we answer questions. We answer questions from producers. We answer questions from market managers and staff. We're always going to promote best practices. So even though Tennessee Food Freedom Act may not specify things like discussing your process with a process authority or checking pH, things like that, we still rep those best practices to producers, because we all know that if folks are making food, they want to make safe and wholesome food to feed their neighbors, their family, and their community. And then we guide producers to both the University of Tennessee, Tennessee State University, extension agencies, and other organizations that can help them with guidance to figure out a path forward for what they would like to do. We do have a web page, a web page on TDA's website that's all about Tennessee Food Freedom Act. This includes guidance documents in both English and Spanish. There's a recorded webinar. There is a basic slide deck. Really, anytime new information comes out about Tennessee Food Freedom Act, we add it to that web page. So feel free to visit there. There's some really good resources. I've got this. It looks like I have a little bit more time. So I just want to briefly get into another aspect of what Tennessee Department of Agriculture covers, and that's food manufacturing. As a review, the Tennessee Food Freedom Act requires those homemade, non-TCS products with specific labels only being sold in Tennessee. If those items are not being followed, then more than likely we have a food manufacturer that is operating without a license. So we would need to talk about, okay, what do we do to get you on board and get it to a point where you can do what you'd like to do? So it can be overwhelming for new businesses or small businesses. You know, what do we do? The best thing they can do is contact our office. We're there to help. And by getting a better understanding of their plans and goals, we can tailor our response to help them create a roadmap. I will also recommend for all folks producing food for the public to consider current good manufacturing practice training. There's so much to be gleaned from that training, and it really empowers producers from the beginning. While TDA does not require this training class or another CGMP training course to be completed, the knowledge and the practices have to be in place in order for us to give a license. They will also require commercial production space. So if we're going to be making that step to being a food manufacturer, we cannot have a production space that is attached to a private residence. so they will have to find a commercial place to process. Then we have a process for submitting documents. There's a number of documents that must be submitted as part of a licensing packet. I will say that calling us at the beginning is important because depending on what they're making, it can change what documents would be required. So we always like to get people set up for success. How long does it take? I can always tell when the markets are getting ready to kick in because we get this avalanche of folks that need things and they need them right now. It really just depends. The time it takes depends on the product, the process, the documents that were submitted. Please encourage your producers to get TDA involved early. The earlier we are involved, the more likely it is that we can meet the timelines that they are thinking about. Labeling, again, there are some specific labeling requirements. I think I'm coming up on time, but I will have this in the slide deck. And then we have web page specifically for food safety for TDA. So that takes you to the food safety page, and there's a large amount of items that you can explore after you're there. And this is my contact information. So questions, comments, assistance needed. If you're having a vendor come to you and you're just not quite sure if what they're making is compliant with Tennessee Food Freedom Act, please contact us. We're so happy to help. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody who does. Thank you again for having me. And I will turn the microphone back to Rachel for our next presenter.
Wonderful. Thanks for inviting us to be participants today and learn along with everyone as well. It's a little strange for us to talk about regulations, but we do teach about it quite a bit, but especially following Patricia, who their department is the one who regulates the meat sales in Tennessee. So Patricia, be sure to jump in here if I get anything off base, but we do teach this a lot out and about and are glad to be with you all today. So meat sales are interesting because the regulations for different kinds of meats from different types of livestock and poultry are different. And so I'm going to start talking about what the regulations are for beef, pork, lamb, and goat. And then I'm going to hand the baton off to James Harlan, a colleague in our office here at the Center for Profitable Agriculture, who's going to talk about poultry regulations. And we don't have information yet that is very good, but we are working on figuring out what the regulations are for some other non-amenable livestock like rabbits and quail, because we are getting quite a few questions about those. So stay tuned for information about those species at a later date. So what I'm going to talk about today briefly is about selling meat, as in beef, pork, lamb, and goat, to household consumers, which is often what happens at a farmer's market. Most of the sales at farmers markets are to people, individual consumers who are going to take that meat home and eat it. This sale of meat to retail consumers is regulated by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture and the United States Department of Agriculture. So retail meat sales in Tennessee for beef, pork, lamb, and goat require a retail meat sales permit from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. And currently the fee for that is $50 annually. And I believe that goes on the state's fiscal year. So that permit would start, or license would start in January 1st and run through June 30th. So making sure that folks have a current license is really important. And in order to get that license, producers undergo some sort of inspection by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture that looks at the label of the meat, talks about how that meat is stored and transported and handled to make sure it is kept at the proper temperature and maintains its wholesomeness until it gets to the consumer. Once that inspection takes place, then the producer will send in their check or make that payment and receive a hard copy permit that they can post where that meat is sold. The Department of Agriculture also has a division in their Consumer and Industry Services that deals with weights and measures, and they have an interest in meat sales as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. In order to get a retail meat sales permit from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, the livestock that are made into meat have to be harvested or slaughtered at a USDA inspected processing facility under USDA inspection. So that inspector will make sure that animal looks healthy before it's harvested. The inspector makes sure the slaughter and harvest facility are done well to ensure for food safety. They watch the processing, and that meat is then properly packaged and labeled at that USDA inspected processing facility before the producer picks it up. And so the USDA mark of inspection and establishment number will be on the label. USDA also does some special label claim compliance, and there's a process that producers have to go to in order to put some special animal raising claims on their package, and USDA handles that as well. So there are approximately 23 USDA inspected facilities in the state. They're spread across here. This number changes sometimes from day to day. For example, we had more than this, but one facility had a fire and is out of commission, and one facility is out of work and trying to be sold. And then I heard of another facility this morning that's trying to get their inspection. So their grant of inspection. So this is kind of a moving target. These are the ones in Tennessee. Producers are able to use USDA inspected processing outside of Tennessee as well. And as you know, we have a lot of counties that border, and their closest processing facility may be in another state. The weights and measures folks at TDA enforce the weights and measures regulations for allowable units of sale, and meat sales must be conducted by net weight. So if I have a roast, I can't sell somebody this roast for $20. We need to communicate, and the package will have the net weight of the product. So maybe it's a 4-pound roast for 4 pounds, and it's frozen. So I have a price listed of $5 a pound for this particular roast. Maybe it's a chuck roast. So the consumer can see that it's a 4-pound roast at $5 a pound. And then we calculate the $20 so that we don't have any misconception about what we're actually getting. The label again will be looked at the processing facility, and then the folks at the Tennessee Department of Agriculture will also look at it. That label will have the product name, a handling statement, either keep frozen or keep refrigerated, something along those lines, the name and address of either the producer or the processing facility, the USDA mark of inspection and establishment number, a net weight, and some safe handling instructions. If it's a product like a sausage or something like that that has more than one ingredient, then those ingredients will be listed on the package, just as Patricia mentioned earlier for other manufactured food products, in order of predominance by weight. Retail meat sales for that allowable units of sale must also have the net weight on the package, and the processor will do this for producers. If the meat is being sold fresh and it's a random weight item, like steaks or roasts, where every package is likely to have a different weight, then if it's a fresh product and not frozen, producers will need the price per pound and the total price on the package, just like you might find at your local grocery store. If it's what they call a standard weight item, for example, ground meats are often always packaged in 1 or 2 pounds or 1.5 pound chubs, and they're all the same, then they can have the net weight on all of them that are the same, and then a price listed for those, price per pound. if we are freezing items, which most of the time our meat sales are frozen at farmers market, then the frozen item must have the net weight. But the Tennessee Department of Agriculture recognized that there was an issue with trying to get new price stickers to stick on frozen packages of meat. And so they have made an allowance that the price per pound and total price does not have to be on frozen meat, as long as that price is clearly posted, legible, easily seen by consumers. And then most people have a phone who are able to calculate the price if they want to before they buy, and a producer can calculate that total price for the consumer at checkout. Oh, we also recommend that folks include a code date or lot number on their packaging. Maybe that's the meat that was packaged on a certain date or from a certain animal, in case of a recall. And we've had issues in the past where something has gone wrong, maybe at the producer side, could definitely be at the processor side, and we need to get some meat back because maybe something gotten in it, or there was a malfunction of equipment or something. So if there's a code date or lot number and you can identify which specific meat was affected, then producers can recall just that meat that they know was affected. If there's no way to tell which meat was affected, then they have to recall all the meat, right? So that can definitely be a risk management area. And then producers, if they're using special claims like grass-fed or no added hormones or no added antibiotics, there's a special approval process with USDA in order to use those terms on their label. So they should have gone through that before they get the label on at the processor and before they receive their retail meat sales permit. One of the other issues that you might be on the lookout for at the farmers market is making sure that producers are keeping that meat at temperature, right, and storing it appropriately and handling it appropriately. When meat is stored, this beef, pork, lamb, and goat, we need to make sure we're not cross-contaminating it with anything. So if a producer does have poultry meat, that meat cannot be in the same freezer or cooler or anything with that meat, so we don't have any cross-contamination. They also need to have thermometers in whatever they are using to store their meat to make sure that it's maintaining the temperature. If the meat is frozen and being sold as frozen, it must stay hard frozen. Folks can't kind of let it thaw a little bit and refreeze it to sell it. If something thaws a little bit, we tell producers, that's your dinner. Take it home and eat it, or you can't refreeze that. And folks selling meat, certainly we hope, are doing this, but their hands and outer clothing must be clean. Folks can transport meat a lot of different ways and even sell as long as it maintains temperature. Coolers can work, especially for transporting product from a processing facility home. I would caution folks about doing that at the market. As you would imagine, every time you open that cooler lid to get somebody product, the cold is escaping, and it might be difficult to keep that product at temperature. We have been told, and TDA, Patricia, please let me know that ice is not a good thing in these coolers, because we don't want the ice to melt and the meat to be sitting in water. And so if folks are using coolers, they are keeping it cold somehow, then ice packs, perhaps even dry ice or something, so they can't get wet. A lot of times people are using freezers with an inverter or a generator of some type to keep those freezers working. For those special label claims, again, there are some relatively new rules, and I'm not going to go too far into those because you aren't necessarily dealing with those. There just might be some special claims on labels, and to know that there's a special approval process for that. And there's a new guideline for those available online. And if anybody has any questions about that, please contact me later and we can discuss that further. Finally, we do have a publication available online and some hard copies of this as well, if you would like one, about basic regulatory considerations for retail and non-retail meat sales in Tennessee. And if that would be might be a good resource for you or some of the producers at your market. I've included my contact information. Please feel free to reach out at any time if I can be of assistance. And I will stop sharing so James can jump on and talk about the poultry side of things.
All right, here we go. Well, again, thank you all for being here. My name is James Harlan, and I also work in value-added agriculture along with Megan and Rachel at the Center for Profitable Ag. And I'm going to talk about selling farm-raised poultry in Tennessee. Tennessee producers do have the option to process poultry on their farm legally and safely. And I'm going to talk about the process of that and how farmers can do that and possibly sell at a farmer's market should your respective farmer's market be willing to do that. So to kick it off, I've got this highlighted in my first bullet point. I'm going to talk about a federal poultry exemption that allows for farmers to process on their farm. And part of that exemption involves some processing limits. And I'm going to talk about those limits here in just a minute. There are labeling requirements for some of those limits. Along with that exemption, facility design, wastewater processing, how to process wastewater generated from the actual processing of your birds is a major consideration to maintain the safety of Tennessee's rivers and streams. And my last point at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to talk about what farmers markets can do to help these producers navigate the regulations if they need to get in compliance. So how we process in Tennessee stems from a federal exemption with the Poultry Products Inspections Act that Tennessee has adopted in the Tennessee Meat and Poultry Inspection Act that allows for farmers to qualify for any one of these exemptions, but they must slaughter poultry or process poultry products under sanitary conditions using procedures, sound practices, and to produce a clean poultry product fit for human consumption. The agency that regulates this exemption is through the USDA FSIS office, the Food Safety and Inspection Service. And this, in quotations here, was taken directly from their guidelines for this exemptions. Now, a question I do get is people that are processing birds for personal consumption, they think they have to abide by these same regulations. And that's not the case. If someone's doing it for personal consumption, there are really no limits. So that's of their discretion. So things to remember about this exemption. You will sell your live birds, and I say these regulations and the explanation for this is geared more towards producers. So if you put yourself in a producer's mindset, a lot of these regulations will make sense to you. So they will be selling their live birds to a consumer and custom slaughter those birds on their premises under this exemption. The poultry have to be healthy, fit for human consumption, and slaughtered in accordance with these safe sanitary standards and practices. So why is this important to Tennessee producers to have this exemption? And the answer to that is pretty simple, is processing options. Currently, there is only one USDA inspected poultry processor in Tennessee. I was a little jealous of my coworker Megan's map because she had all these different locations where like a beef producer might have to go to get his animal processed. But in Tennessee, there's only one, and that's through underground processing in Walling, which is in White County. So as you can see, geographically, it's a challenge for many producers to get to this facility should they want to. So here, that's why this interest in processing on the farm is such an interest and is growing, it seems. So here are some things to remember about this exemption. A little different than a lot of your USDA sites. You do not have to have a USDA inspector on site, nor do you have to have a Tennessee Department of Ag inspector. But the USDA and TDA have the right to come on their farm and inspect their facility at any given time. That may be a random inspection. There may be a possible complaint, problem arise, but they can come on a farm of a producer that's processing birds under this exemption at any time and inspect and make sure they're following the guidelines that FSIS has laid out. The last one, is there an application for this exemption? No, there is not. So you may have the question, so how are people doing this legally if there's no application that they have to apply for or fill out? So I'm going to go over that here in just a minute. So basically, there are three different categories under this exemption. The first one is a poultry grower, a producer grower that has 1,000 bird limit. Basically, this is a directly to consumer type exemption. There aren't necessarily any labeling requirements. They are required as producers to keep meticulous records should they ever need to be audited on how they're processing under that exemption. Now, the second one, the poultry producer grower 20,000 bird limit, is probably the one that's going to apply toward most of you that are managing a farmer's market and possibly have producers coming. They can produce up to 20,000 birds on their farm a year, or process 20,000 birds per year on their farm. These are birds that they prepare. They cannot buy and sell products under any other exemption or anyone else's exemption. These are processed by those producers, and they have to sell them inside Tennessee only. Birds have to be healthy, of course, when they're processed. This facility is, and this is an important thing to note because I get this question a lot, their facility is not to be processing any other birds. Most of the time, that's how most operators are set up on their farms, but there is an FSIS exemption for that, or exception for that, but that has to have FSIS approval. It's not very common people do that, but there is an option that I just want to make note of it. Right here at the very bottom of this list, under this exemption, there are labeling requirements under this exemption category, and similar to what Megan showed for what you have to that require for other labeling requirements for other meats. You have to have with poultry, you have to have the name of the farm, the address, the weight, a safe handling instructions, disclaimer, and this exemption number, PL 90-42, that references the exemption number, Public Law 90-42, that identifies this poultry as that it was processed under this exemption. I've got an example here of a label that's a pretty good representation. As you can see, it's got the farm name clearly labeled. It's got this was a custom cut right here. The date, the weight. I've got it blown up over here so you can see it a little better. But the safe handling instructions. But clearly, it shows the PL number 90-492. And if an inspector was going through and saw this poultry on the shelf, they would recognize that number and say, okay, this is processed under the exemption. So make sure if you're going to have poultry on your at your farmer's market and you have producers that are interested, this is very, very important that they have that represented on their label. So the last one is similar to the 1,000 grower exemption, but the biggest exception is you can purchase birds from another farm and process those, or basically your birds at that point, and you process them and sell them under this exemption. I always caution folks that if you're going to be buying birds from a neighboring farm, make sure you have a good relationship with them and know how they're raising their animals, and you don't put your name on a faulty product, basically. So part of this exemption, I want to talk about facility design a little bit. If you're going to entertain having a poultry processor sell through your farmer's market, I think it's going to be important that you get to know them pretty well, know how they're processing. And part of that is facility design. It has to be a proper facility design. And that starts with the actual building itself. This is a pretty good representation of what the inside of a building should look like that's processing. It's got kind of your smooth wall boards and non-permeable, they call it, where you can wash them down, disinfect, keep bacteria at bay. Concrete floors, well drained. No wood, no stuff that can absorb moisture and harbor bacteria and cause problems down the line. So I do encourage folks to contact TDEC before they build a facility or choose a site, because there are some drainage and septic concerns that have to be taken into considerations with a building. If you're going on a facility, some common items you're going to see. This is your common kill cone, where the birds are stuck in head first, and they are bled out once they are dispatched to be processed. They transition from there into a scalder to your most common style, or kind of this rotisserie style, where the birds kind of rotate in and out of hot water, or a dunk style. It's not recommended to just leave them in the hot water, because it can scald the bird and sometimes prematurely cook the meat. So That's why it's important to have them dunking in and out of the water. So keep an eye out for these two items, as well as a good quality plucker. If you see this is a good representation of a plucking machine that a lot of these poultry processors are using on their place. So these are three items that pretty common to see. And also proper when you're actually processing the meat, have a proper table. And it's recommended stainless steel, again, for bacteria and food safety reasons. Easy to clean, easy to disinfect, durable, will last forever. Once we've got the animals processed, they do go in a chill tank. Most people are using some kind of like 55-gallon drum, which is perfectly acceptable. Food grade, of course, hasn't had any kind of product already in it. Or this is a one that's available through Featherman that has a drain at the bottom that I've seen a lot used at a lot of farms I've been on. This is a pretty good example of an on-farm processing facility, and as you can see, look in the back. You've got your non-permeable wall boards. While it does look open on these windows, it does have netting across it to allow good ventilation, good cross flow. That's part of the requirements under FSIS as well, but it does keep insects, bugs, and everything out. So this is basically a screen door netting to allow cross flow, but keeps it pretty open too. Everybody's got hair nets on, gloves, aprons. You can see stainless steel. Everything's been taken into account for food safety with this processing facility right here that's on a farm. Once they get them cleaned, most of your producers are going to either vacuum seal or shrink wrap. Shrink wrap tends to be the common method these days. They're just basically dropping in some hot water and it's shrinking, makes a nice tight, you can see it right here, nice tight packaging around the poultry, and they are transitioning it to some kind of weighing system where they can weigh it out and get the exact weight of that specific cut. This machine here represented not only weighs, but it was printing off a ticket at the same time. That made a nice way to keep up with records too. This machine was logging all the information for every cut that came across the scale, and they could download that later to keep for their records and present that to an inspector if they needed to. Again, I can't do this presentation without ever mentioning this, but it's important that these producers understand that wastewater management is an important topic. You can't just dump out any wastewater generated during the processing portion onto the ground. It has to be managed correctly, as with any septic system would need to be. And Ms. Crystal Warren with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation is my contact for that information, and I wanted to make sure I made a point to put a plug in for her. I do get questions a lot about mobile processing, and a TDEC is good with a mobile processing unit as long as the wastewater is managed on site. So basically, if you've got a farm that has, or a farmer that has come up with a trailer, an enclosed trailer, if you will, where they're processing birds and they want to rent it out almost like a mobile kitchen to their neighboring farm, that can be done. But the wastewater has to be managed on site, and FSIS is also good with this as long as processing best management practices are followed and biosafety is a priority. I stress that to farmers or to producers that are interested in doing some kind of processing trailer, because make sure things are clean and cross-contamination is not a problem between farm. I even go further to tell them, make sure you're cleaning underneath your trailer too. Clean the tires, disinfect the tires, where you're not harboring any pathogens from farm to farm, and make sure biosecurity is an important measure. So what can you do to help if you've got producers that are interested in doing this? Just stay educated on this topic. I'm always available for follow-up for these type of questions. I get a lot of them, and I'm happy to answer those questions. And get to know your farmers, as I've already mentioned. Make farm visits if you want to make sure that you've got all your bases covered on your farmers market and everything's being done adequately. Feel free to get to know them and go to their place. I think most farmers will be willing to let that happen. Most of them that I've worked with are always enthusiastic about having people on their farm. I did talk with a producer this morning and I asked him, do you use farmers markets? He said, yes, but there's always a but. And the biggest but was freezer space, because this is a food product that's frozen and it needs to be kept frozen. As Megan said, don't need to be kept in a cooler with ice or anything. So freezer space is kind of a concern. But what this one producer does is he provides a freezer for his market that stays there. And that's how it cuts down on costs for the actual farmer's market itself, allows him an avenue to sell his product. So I went through that kind of fast. I jammed in an 8-hour presentation into 10 minutes. So here's my information also. And like Megan, Rachel, and all the others on this presentation, we're always available for follow-up.
James, can I throw something in here real quick?
Sure, Mike.
One thing, just make sure everybody understands that this exemption applies to whole birds and cut up birds only. And those are that's an exhaustive list of the things they can do. They cannot do fillets. They can't do skinless. They can't do further processing of any kind beyond the cut up of the bird.
Thank you for joining us. And again, all of our contact information will be in the follow-up email so that you can reach out if you have any questions.